Hello, welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. I am Mikhail, your host, Mikhail Tinubu. It's Wednesday, it's Friday, and the weekend is near. So I assume many of you are looking forward to the weekend sports as well as some rest. Hopefully, we can get your weekend started right. I have Victor Godfrey with me today. Victor?
Hello, Mukai. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Always a pleasure. I'm sure we'll have many more of you. You're a fount of knowledge. We start with Taekwondo. World Taekwondo has responded to the petition alleging that Olympic bronze medalist Chika Chukwumerije assaulted some female athletes in the build-up to the 2015 African Games. The High Court in Abuja dismissed a 500 million naira libel suit by Chukwumerije against Yemi Adeyemi Enilare and Delateur Foundation on May 31st. Chukwumerije whipped us in training as recounted by the female athletes, the physical assault and agony. Victor, this kind of thing,
Yeah.
we hear it all the time, whether it's be simple physical assault or sexual assault. Trainers, athletes, putting female athletes through unspeakable situations that they're unable to speak up on for years. This has just come up now.
Well, the reality is this. I think we need to have proper investigation into the scenario, the situation, or the allegations, because for one of the like you just mentioned now, they said it was in training, and Taekwondo is one of the disciplines of martial arts. Then again, for starters, he is, I would say, a national hero, the bronze medalist at a major Olympic competition, which is fantastic. But at the same time, it is let's say the case of two stories or two tales. One is saying that that's not true. You are trying to defame or destroy my name. The others are saying that no, we were abused physically in training. So now, and in training, there's something called sparring. In almost every combat sport, there's something called sparring, where it's part of after you've done your drills, your physical drills, you now go into sparring. It happens in boxing, it happens in MMA, so on and so forth. So,
But
like I
then,
said, we need a proper investigation. Actually, I think the authorities in Nigeria need to investigate properly,
but then
get
this has to
evidence
be
about it.
a
Say
difficult
that again.
situation, Victor. This has to be a difficult situation for investigators to get a grip of what the truth is, because, like you said, they have sparring sessions, and how do they tell where sparring crosses the line into assault?
And so that's why I said it's a very delicate story because in sometimes if you watch boxing, for instance, they'll say, "Oh, that sparring session was heated because both guys it's contact sport." However, with this is between two different genders. That's why we don't have mixed competitions in combat sports. You won't have a man fight a woman in the boxing ring. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But with Taekwondo, the discipline is quite different. However, with that being said, we need to have proper eyewitness accounts of what really happened that day. If there are no maybe cameras or video footages, let's ask the trainers. Because if it was in preparation for the All Africa Games, I'm going to imagine it was a camp. There are other athletes also preparing for the games.
Yes.
There will be trainers. I would imagine there will be doctors or physios or whatever the case is. So, and as far back as 2015, so this should have come out years ago, not in 2021. However, on both sides of the scale, if there was actual physical abuse, then national heroes should face the full brunt of the law. And if there was none, then a full apology should be put through. But the bottom line remains that we need proper investigation.
What I find interesting about this story, Victor, is that this is not sexual assault. So it doesn't boil down to simple consent, whether the females gave consent or not. This is strictly assault. So there are all kinds of theories that can be posited on what happened. Did they get into an altercation? Was there arguments? And because these are
But they,
all physical combat athletes,
exactly. So
did it
based on
escalate?
the, yeah.
Did it escalate to something that, because of his nature, the fact that he's a man, a physical altercation between a female and a male athlete, even though they're both taekwondo, more likely than not, he probably put them on their backs. Um, if it all evolves, if this whole thing evolves from simple two people or multiple people getting into a fist fight and someone wins, what does
Okay, so
this mean?
the thing is this, right?
I'm not done with my question, Victor. What does
Okay.
this mean though if he's found guilty of physical assault? Do his medals get taken away?
Well, I don't think I don't know about I can't speak about the medal being taken away. But like I said before, if he is found guilty, let's say for instance he's found guilty of abuse, physical abuse, to a female athlete, not just only should he face whatever punishment, whether it's a ban or whatever it is that's going to happen to him. I can't say because I'm not part of the board or the relegation body, but I can say this: there should be proper training or orientation for our male athletes who are in combat sports. Because, like you said, it is a physical, any combat sport, whether it's jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, karate, wrestling, boxing, whatever, kickboxing, or any combat sport that involves the physical contact, you need to be trained properly to control your emotions. Even when you're in a professional fight or professional shooting, or whether you're in training, sparring or not, both genders need to control their emotions because you're trained more than the average individual. An MMA fighter would destroy an average human in a fight. So you should have, I think it should be better training from the grassroots level, because if you are if your mindset is proper, you know that no matter what the case is, you never strike a woman. Whether you're aggravated or not, whether you're very angry or not, you never ever strike a woman. That's the law. That's the rule.
Well,
Like
I
I said, we
hope.
don't know. There has to be a proper investigation, though. But if he's found guilty, whatever the punishment is, he should face it. But at the same time, there should be proper training for future athletes so that these accidents doesn't happen anymore.
I hope investigators are able to get to the bottom of this. With the last few decade or so being dominated by Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, it's become clear that these awards are given to whoever wins the most team trophies at the end of the year. So obviously, Jorginho should be number one. But I had a disagreement with the producer who thought because of Kante's obvious abilities and his presence on the pitch and everywhere else around the world at the same time, he ought to be the one to win this year.
Well, so now, just to add, I don't think it's solely about winning trophies, because if that was the case, players like Schneider in 2010 should have won it. A player like Ribéry in 2013 should have won it. So I think then again, there are many factors that determine sometimes the media.
But then many would argue that Schneider definitely was cheated out of that award that year.
Yes. That's the argument. Schneider and Ribéry were cheated out of winning the best player of the year in Europe back in those years, or that particular years in Europe. But the truth is that for Kante's case, unfortunately, France underperformed at the Euros. That was one of the biggest minuses, or one of the biggest minuses for Kante. For Kevin De Bruyne, it was also another. I won't blame him. He was injured during the Euros, but he didn't really perform up to par in the game that mattered the most, the Champions League final last season. Man City were absent in that match. And then you have Jorginho. There's no other way. He's like a modern version of Pella, a deep playing, playmaker.
Yeah.
Just like a quarterback, just spraying the passes left, right, and center. I think he should win it. He should win it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Second seeded Stefanos Tsitsipas rallied to claim a 3-set win over unseeded Lorenzo Sonego and advanced to the quarterfinals of the Western and Southern Open Thursday night in Cincinnati. Greek world number 3 Tsisipas looked surprised by the aggressiveness of Italian Sonego in the opening set before regaining his composure and fighting back for 5-7, 6-3, 6-4 victory and his ATP leading 47th match win of the season. Tsisipas will face either another Italian in Matteo Berrettini or Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime, who will meet later. Now, we've all talked about how well Tsisipas has been doing for so long, and his stats keep piling up. He keeps going on one game after another, taking it one step at a time, and even he has had to come back twice now in 2 different games. He seems to be starting late, but hitting his stride in the second set. I have to say I'm afraid for the rest of the young tennis players coming up in the game. He seems to be so dominant in how he plays. Once he gets into his groove, he seems unstoppable.
Like I mentioned in the past, that for a while, we had the 3 dragons, so to speak. We have Nadal, Roger Federer, and Novak Djokovic. Now it's actually refreshing to see the future star, especially on the male end, because with women's tennis, we have 3 or 4 female superstars right now that can stake a claim to be the next number 1. So for male tennis, I'm really glad that Tsisipas is really claiming the right. But like I said, let's 2021 finish first. Let the season finish first, and then we'll know. Okay, let's see how many titles he wins this year. Then we'll be like, okay, perhaps he's potentially the next big thing in tennis.
Well, for another tennis player who seems to be making waves, Alexander Zverev continued his excellent run of form as he easily saw off Guido Pella to reach the quarterfinals of the Western and Southern Open in Cincinnati. You know, I wonder, with both Zverev and Tsitsipas being in the quarterfinals, and if they manage to get through, are we likely to get Zverev versus Tsitsipas finals this Cincinnati?
Most likely.
Okay.
But they have to win their quarter. I mean, it's amazing that we're still on the, I won't say earlier stages, but we're not really in the money-making round just yet. Let's get to the semifinals then. To really gather interest to see if we'll have a potential star match for the final.
Well,
with tennis, it's tricky. You could have momentum in the opening rounds, and when you get to the knockout stages or the later stages of the competition, one chopped seed will just beat you. Ask Naomi Osaka. So that's what happens.
Yes. It's been a pleasure having you join us today, Victor.
Absolute pleasure for having me. Thank you so much.
And we look forward to having you on tomorrow for Plus Sports Special.
God willing.
God willing. And for everyone at home, thank you for joining us. I am Carl Tinubu, your host on Plus Sports Plus TV Africa. Have a wonderful Friday, and remember, life is never boring with some sports.